The third tool for creating successful circles of grace is the Kaleidoscope Bible Study process. As mentioned before, a circle of grace creates a space and time for thoughtful and considerate conversation. These tools for trust-building conversation comes from the works of Eric Law's Holy Currencies and the Kaleidoscope Institute. Our first two videos focused on the respect guidelines and mutual invitation, which creates a foundation for safe conversations. This video will discuss the Kaleidoscope Bible Study process. This practice is a way to deeply ingrain and invite God into the midst before diving into work or tough topics. Let's take a moment for a quick review of the respectful communication guidelines and mutual invitation. To create a space for trust, your circle will need to commit to take responsibility, use empathetic listening, be sensitive to differences, ponder, examine your assumptions, keep confidentiality, and trust ambiguity. Once your circle of grace has agreed to a covenant of respect with one another, you are ready for mutual invitation. In this process, the leader or designated person will share first. He or she then invites another to share. Who you invite does not need to be the person next to you. If you are not ready yet, say pass for now, and then invite another to share. You will be invited again later. If you don't want to say anything, simply say pass and proceed to invite another person to share. After each person has spoken, that person is given the privilege to invite another to share. We will do this until everyone has been invited. This process will ensure that everyone will have the opportunity to speak and even the field by balancing power. The Kaleidoscope Institute Bible Study uses mutual invitation. The leader of the group informs the participants that the Bible passage will be read 3 times. After each reading, participants will be invited to share their reflections. Then the Bible study is ended with a circle prayer. Before the first reading, invite participants to capture a word, a phrase, or image when listening to the passage. For example, Acts 2, 1-13. When the day of Pentecost came, they were all together in one place. Suddenly, the sound like the blowing of a violent wind came from heaven and filled the whole house where they were sitting. They saw what seemed to be tongues of fire that separated and came to rest on each of them. All of them were filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak in tongues as the Spirit enabled them. Now there were staying in Jerusalem God-fearing Jews from every nation under heaven. When they heard this sound, a crowd came together in bewilderment, because each one heard their own language being spoken. Utterly amazed, they asked, "Aren't all these who are speaking Galileans? Then, how is it that each of us heard them in our own native languages? Perithians, Medes, Elamites, residents of Mesopotamia, Judea and Cappadocia, Pontus and Asia, Phrygia and Pamphylia, Egypt and the parts of Libya near Cyrene, visitors from Rome, both Jews and converts to Judaism, Cretans and Arabs. We hear them declaring the words of God in our own tongues." Amazed and perplexed, they asked one another, "What does this mean?" Some, however, made fun of them, saying, "They have had too much wine." Once the passage is finished, take a moment of silence to capture a word, a phrase, or image that stood out for them. Then use mutual invitation to share. This should take no more than 5 minutes. Before you read the passage a second time, invite participants to consider the second question appointed for this passage. The facilitator should prepare ahead of time a question that is relevant to the participant's context. For example, our facilitator here asks, "Was this more a miracle of the tongue or a miracle of the ear? What has been your experience in communicating the gospel?" Then you will invite someone to read the passage a second time, reflect, and extend mutual invitation. Before you read the passage the third time, ask, "What does God invite you to change, to do, or to be through this passage?" Then you will invite someone to read the passage a third time, reflect, extend mutual invitation, and close with a circle prayer. As a facilitator hosting circles of grace, remember to take time and reflect on, how did this experience build relationships? How did this process help us speak and discern truth? What is the role of the leader in this process? How did this experience foster wellness for you and the group? How can this process be missional and sustainable? I wonder. This time for reflection will help create a base for framing the questions for your circle group and future conversations. If you would like more information on Circles of Grace, feel free to visit our website at westohioumc.org/circles. For more information on holy currencies and other tools for missional and sustainable community building, please visit www.cscopeinstitute.org. To connect directly for additional support and resources, please contact me, Harris Tay, at htay@wocumc.org. Thank you so much for your time, and please take a moment to view our other 2 videos. Take care, and God bless.